Kia ora, and welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news. We need to keep an eye on the Sell America trade, which until now has been more headlines than substance, and mainly about China's divestment in US Treasuries. But the Greenland kerfuffle has triggered a serious rethink by many international pension fund managers, and more are taking this action. But first, the week ahead will be a relatively quiet one locally on the data front, but we will get a big range of December banking sector data, allowing us to cap the 2025 year on a number of important metrics. In Australia, the key event will be Wednesday's CPI data, where it is expected to rise to 3.6%, the final indicator before the next week's RBA rate review. Globally, all eyes will be on the gold price and its expected push through $5,000 an ounce, which could come early this week. In the US, all eyes will be on the Fed and its January 29th meeting, amid increasingly contrasting takes by voting members on the appropriate rate path. But most things related to public policy are in turmoil in the US, and the Fed's position is just part of that. We'll be watching for bond market reactions. Elsewhere, official interest rate decisions are expected in Canada, Brazil and Sweden, and the Bank of Japan will publish meeting minutes. And don't forget, it's a holiday today in the north of the North Island, Auckland Anniversary Day, and in Australia, Australia Day. In the first news up today, though, China released its December FDI data overnight, and it was negative again. For all of 2025, foreign direct investment fell 9.5%. Following a sharp 25% fall in 2024, and that makes it the third consecutive year of contraction. December alone recorded a good pickup from November, but even with that, it was 7% lower than December 2024. But at least it didn't shrink as it did in November from October. And China also released minimum wage rate data that showed 27 of the country's 31 provincial jurisdictions have increased monthly minimum wages over the past year, with half introducing double-digit rises. In an interview with state media Xinhua, the Chinese central bank governor indicated that cuts to their interest rates and reserve ratio requirements are on the cards in 2026. And Taiwan said industrial production surged more than 21% in December from the same month a year ago, the strongest growth since May. For all of 2025, it was up 16.7%, so the latest activity is an acceleration. But their local retail sector is not showing the same exuberance, up just 0.9% in December from a year ago and down 0.2% from all of 2025. Consumers there are prioritising saving over spending, just like in the country to their west. And Japanese inflation eased to 2.1% in December from 2.9% in November, the lowest growth since March 2022. Food inflation fell to a 13-month low of 5.1%, driven by the slowest rate of rice prices in 16 months. And the Japanese January flash PMIs were quite positive, with private sector output expanding at its quickest rate in nearly a year and a half to start 2026. And the Japanese central bank reviewed its monetary policy, and no change was made on Friday, held at 0.7% because an election is imminent. But now inflation concerns seem to be easing too. But markets are on alert for official intervention to support the yen. In India, their flash January PMIs rose across both sectors, maintaining very high rates of economic expansion there. We're starting to get early January PMI reports from many key economies. The US factory version was little change and a modest expansion, and it was the same for their services sector. But both recorded slightly better new order flows. Both noted cost pressures from their tariff taxes, though. But as you'll note, this expansion lags most other large global economies. The Conference Board's leading economic indicator tracking for the US isn't positive reading, however, with the latest update reporting further declines. In Canada, their retail sector reported good gains in November, up 3.1% from a year ago, but these may not have extended into December, according to their overnight update. In the EU, output continues to rise in January, and business confidence strengthened. That raised their factory PMIs to expansion, but their services PMIs hesitated. In Australia last week, they posted stronger than expected labour market data that has sharply changed financial market pricing. And in turn, there has been a rush by banks, both major, including the NAB, and some challengers, to hike their fixed home loan rates. They get their December CPI results this week, and it is widely expected to challenge the upper end of their policy tolerance. If it does, suddenly Australia's floating mortgage rates are at risk of a rise too on the 3rd of February. If they do hike them, the Aussie policy rate will be 3.85%. That will put them 160 basis points higher than the RBNZ current 2.25%. It has been 14 years since this difference was that large. In Australia, private sector output expanded at its fastest pace in 5 months in December, according to the S&P Global Flash PMI reports. Both the factory and services sectors' expansions picked up. The services sector more than the factory sector, however. Faster new order growth, including for exports, was a noted feature. And we should probably note that China has received its first shipment of iron ore from their giant West African mine in Guinea. This marks a shift in China's iron ore import focus, likely to Australia's detriment. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.24%, down 2 basis points from this time Saturday. And here's something to keep an eye on. Europe's largest pension fund cut its holdings in US Treasury debt sharply in 2025, a trend that seems to be gathering steam. The Sell America trade, one started by Norway's sovereign wealth fund late last year. And the price of gold will start today at $4,983 an ounce, up a minor dollar from Saturday, but still a new record high. $5,000 could come quickly now. Silver is up $2 an ounce at $103 an ounce, also a record high. And platinum has eased marginally to $2,741 an ounce. American oil prices are holding at Saturday's level at just on $61 a barrel, while the international Brent price is firmish at now just under $66 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is little changed from Saturday, still at 59.4 US cents. That makes it almost a 2-cent loss for the greenback for the week. Against the Aussie, we're up 10 basis points at 86.3 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're down 10 basis points at 50.3 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just under 63.1 and up 10 basis points from Saturday. It's higher since late September and up 150 basis points for the week. And we should probably note that the official Chinese yuan setting by the People's Bank of China slipped below 7 to the US dollar in Saturday's fixing, the first time it's done that since May 2023. Although, to be fair, most currencies are rising against the US dollars, ours included. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $87,968 and down 2% from Saturday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest, at just under plus or minus 1%. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.